All right, back again. It is October 31st. Happy Halloween, everybody, if you're watching this in real time. We're going to go over last night's games, um, Celtics, Pacers, Spurs, OKC, and obviously these are the primetime games, but we might touch on some of the other ones that went on, but these ones were two really good games. The Pacers won against the Celtics 135 to 132. Um, it was an interesting game. I really only saw the end of it. Um, but the end of it was the most entertaining and most drama filled, I would say. Tatum had 37, White had 23, Brown had 25, Horford and Holiday each had 8. Um, didn't do a lot offensively, um, but man, the Jays got their stuff um, off the bench. Always got Peyton Pritchard with 16, 4 for 11 though. Um, really need those extra buckets, and you can give it to him. On the Pacers side, however, Tyrese Halliburton got out of his funk a little bit. Had 17 and 12, 6 rebounds. He was 2 for 10 from three. He made some real important ones though. 7 for 19 overall. But the man of the night was Pascal Siakam. He hit a big one um, late in the game. He had 29. He was 6 for 8 from three, 11 for 20. Um, Obi Toppin with 18. Benedict Mathurin off the bench. I told y'all, bro. I told y'all. Benedict Mathurin needs to start, man. He had 30 off the bench. 2 for 5 from three, 9 for 17 field goal. He um he he did his thing, man. I think he needs to start. You don't need Neesmith and Nemhard. You don't. And obviously Nemhard's Nemhard went down with an injury. He only played 5 minutes last night. Um, so maybe Mathurin will get the call up, or they might just put T.J. McConnell out there. I don't know, but Mathurin and Siakam handled the Celtics um, in overtime, mind you. Um, we can go over some team stats here. Their field goal looks relatively the same. The Pacers made about what was that 6 more shots, um, and took about I think 6 less. So the differential at field goal isn't that large. The Celtics did make more threes, but they took more threes. Um, Obviously, the Pacers are going to have a better percentage. You throw out the math like that. Um, the free throws, the Celtics got a lot of whistles, and they only shot 80% to the Pacers 83%. Um, both these teams really didn't get offensive boards. They were really more concerned with the defensive boards, which is no surprise. Um, they both like to run the break. They both like to run in transition. They rather get back or get back to go forward to, to just throw the ball down the floor and make something happen. Um, Blocks and steals relatively similar. Um, Points off turnovers relatively similar. Obviously, when you have Tyrese, you're gonna have more fast break points, even if the Celtics are good at that. And the Pacers really just came out right off the rip. Um, from what I saw from the first half highlights, um, 24 was the biggest lead, and the Celtics only ever led by 2. So this is a team. Like I said in my other video, the Pacers could be play in. They could be a bottom seed team, but I don't know if I said this. I might be overreacting to one game, but the if the Pacers stay at the bottom, they're going to be an interesting team for top teams in the East to face because they're not a typical like bottom feed team. They can have these games. They can put a couple of these games together. Um, but and that's what they did tonight. Tatum didn't shoot the three well. This Celtics team has put up a lot of threes, and it keeps them in games, and you're gonna lose games by threes. And that's what happened tonight, or last night, I should say. Um, onto the primetime game. I thought this game was gonna be a blowout. I thought the Celtics were gonna win. They almost did win, but I'll take the L on that one. The Pacers pulled it out. Congrats to them. Onto the primetime game, the real showstopper of the night. Chet versus Wemby. Uh, Oklahoma City Thunder versus San Antonio Spurs. Um, like I said, I thought the OKC Thunder were gonna win. They did, 105-93. Um, the final score doesn't really show how bad it was for the Spurs at times. Um, Chet won the battle last night, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 for 3 from three, 7 for 10 in only 28 minutes. And Wemby had his worst night as a pro in the NBA. I think that's correct. 6 points, 8 rebounds, zero of three from three, 1 of 5 field goal. Just couldn't get it going. Just simply could not get it going. They tried a lot of stuff for him to get him in rhythm and emotion, and they just couldn't get him. Um, Chris Paul's return to Oklahoma, um, almost a double double, 1 assist short, 3 for 7 from three, 5 for 9. Julian Champagnie, 3 points, just made 1 3 on the night. Jeremy Shohan, 17. Harrison Barnes, 18. And when your other guys put up numbers like that and Wemby does not play well at all, you're gonna lose games like this. Um, Shout out Malachi Branham with 15 off the bench, 3 for 4 from three, 6 for 11. Um, Keldon Johnson 9, Sri Mikhailuk 3, Zach Collins 3, um, Blake Wesley. I think that's Blake Wesley, right? 5. Um, yeah, just a bad outing. Um, and like I said in my last video, the the Thunder just have more firepower. Shea can have a bad game, or just a coasting game, not even a bad game, just one where he's just coasting and just thinking the game and just going through the motions, because he has Chet Holmgren, he has Jalen Williams, J Dub, he has Lou Zhang Dort, he has Kaysen Wallace, he has I don't even know who this guy is. He has 12 points off the bench in 22 minutes. Good for him. Um, yeah, Lou Zhang, 20 points, 6 for 8. Um, J Dub, 12, 5 of 13 field goal, 1 of 3 from 3 point. Chet, again, we went over his stats. Kaysen Wallace with a solid 9 points, made a 3. Um, yeah, Alex Caruso didn't score, but he did his thing. Diving on the floor, playing defense. Yeah, just an overall good team. This is what the Spurs need to do for Wemby, because a lot of times during this game, and we'll go over the team stats here in a second, they looked very flat. And I'm not saying you have to go star hunting quite yet, but I would try to get more ready talent, because you can't wait on. I have to go back to the box score. You can't wait on when you have a guy like Wemby. A guy like Wemby is a guy like Luca when he came into the league. You you have like maybe 1, 2, 3 years, and then you have to compete. You have to be competitive. You have to be making deep playoff runs, or at least trying in the playoffs, or at least trying different combinations of Luca and Dennis Smith Jr., Luca, Dennis Smith Jr., and Kristaps. And then you had the iteration where it was just really um, Luca and some guys, and that didn't work. And then you finally got it down. You're like Luca and Kyrie, and then this offseason you add you this offseason and the draft previous to that, you added guys like Derek Lively. You added guys like um, Kyrie. You know, you can draft guys, obviously, but you also have to eventually make a splash. And maybe the Spurs are waiting to see what Wemby actually is. Because this season he's been doing some different stuff with his game. He's been posted up a lot more. He's been um, taking a lot more hooks and fades intentionally, not so much at the end of the shot clock as a bailout shot, but actually trying to rely on it, which is fine. He did add some muscle. I'll give him credit for that. I always give players credit when they try to change their body and try to improve on something that's a knock on them. But the Spurs need to add something. They need to add more firepower to this team. If I'm them, I call a team that has a surplus of talent and you try to find something, try to make it work. I'm talking about teams like the Pistons who have a surplus of young talent that's sort of in like year 3, year 4, so they're pros. You know, they're not rookies anymore. They're in their they're deep in their play. They're deep in their playing career. You know, um, Jaden Ivey's a name that pops out to me. If you can get Jaden Ivey, that'd be incredible. I think that's the kind of guy Wemby needs. Um, the Portland also has some talent that they might be willing to give up because they just have a surplus of it. If you're willing to part with some guys, they can give you some guys. You know, because these are teams that are not necessarily the Pacers. The Pacers are always trying to be good, but they just can't be good. That are further behind the timeline than you, because your timeline is going to speed up. It's going to speed up every single year that you don't make the playoffs. And I'm not even gonna say what I think that Wemby would leave because that's so silly to say. That's so ridiculous to say, and I can't believe I just said it. But you know, these stars they want to compete. Luca made it. Luca's one of those guys who went through a couple rough stretches where like they had Tim Hardaway Jr. like was DeAndre Jordan, Seth Curry, um, just like random guys who were taking up space on the team and like you need guys that are young enough but also can improve a little bit more. Take a chance on a couple guys, but also try to bring in some actual talent. Not everybody can be OKC and just draft the guys that they're going to build their future with. You got to go out there and get it sometimes. And the West is always good. I've never been alive where the West hasn't been good, or at least the top 5 teams haven't been good. You know, and the Spurs are going to be at a playing team. I I'm running out of spots to say you're going to be a playing team or you're just going to be bad and not compete at all because there's only so many spots. There's only so many safe spots above a certain number, and there are playing teams, and then there are just bad. There's just bad. And I don't think the Spurs want to be bad. I think they want to at least be in the play-in or be in some sort of contention. But the way they started the season, 1-3, and I get it. You're going up against a team that was coming in this game 3-0, and now they're 4-0. But you got to show up a little bit more. You got to show up, and you got to be the the offense has to be a little less flat. Um, Largest lead for OKC 19, largest lead for the Spurs 6. Um, field goal percentage around the same, 41 for the Spurs, 46 for OKC. Um, the 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 OKC just shot it 10 times better, 41% to the Spurs 33. Um, Spurs to take more free throws, but it ain't matter at the end of the day. Spurs did rebound better. I'll give them that. I'll give them that. It was more in the offensive boards that they had a huge margin, but they won the defensive battle too on the boards. Um, yeah, and OKC just had way more steals. They had 18 steals, which is crazy um, as a team. And but the the Spurs had 27 off turnovers, 27 points off turnovers. Sure, sure. So yeah, that's uh that's it. I mean, Spurs just look flat, man. They looked really flat. They look really um. Oh, man, that popped up right now. Um, we can talk about that in a second. Um, that's pretty much it for the two primetime games. Um, we'll see. I don't know what the Spurs could do, but maybe they just ride out the season and say, "Hey, Wemby, just see what you can do, man. Let's see if you can actually carry a team of young guys and maybe a year or two old Chris Paul." um, some other highlights of last night: Karl Anthony Towns versus the Heat and Jimmy Butler, 44, 13 rebounds, four made threes. Knicks won 116. Um, the Pistons beat the beat the Sixers. That's their first win of the season, I believe. Yeah, good for them. K with 22, 5 rebounds, 7 assists. Let's see. Nets beat the Grizzlies. Dennis Schroeder, German legend, with 33, and the Wizards beat the Hawks. Bilal Koulibaly, 27, career high for him. 9 rebounds, 3 made threes, 3 steals. Golden State beat the Pelicans back to back to improve to 4-1. Well, the Pelicans are at 2-3 on the season. Yikes! And the Blazers beat the Clippers by 1 point, and the Clippers are 500 on the season. Well, the Blazers are still 2-3. Pretty good. That's some news right there. Oh boy. So this just popped up on my timeline. I'll read it here, I guess, because we got a few extra minutes. This has no source of. This is according to CBS report, which I don't know if that's reliable or not, but I'm gonna read it for you. Giannis could force his way out of Milwaukee if things go badly this season. Um, we've been, this has been floating around for so long. I actually don't believe it. I actually do not believe it because they've done everything. Every single time Giannis has wanted something, they've done it. And maybe the Dame trade was a bad trade simply because they're just not, they don't seem to gel too much. They don't seem to gel too much. They didn't work out all off season together, and like they don't run the pick and roll enough. I think every time I've watched the Bucks game, when they run the pick and roll, one of the commentators is like, they need to do more of that. Duh, of course they need to do more of that. Like, what? And like, I am a certified Doc Rivers hater. I think Doc Rivers is one of the most overrated coaches. He's living off a championship that was a decade ago. I don't care that you won one championship with Paul Pierce, with KG, with Ray Allen, with Rondo. You haven't done anything since, and you haven't been back to the finals since. I don't care. I really don't care. Um, and he's just a bad coach. He's a bad coach that makes bad decisions, and occasionally he'll have a good season, like the record will look good, and you'll be like, "Wow, Doc Rivers really did it." And then the playoffs come, and then there's some sort of meltdown, and I hope that the acquisition of Dame helps that because Dame is a playoff performer. He'll have he'll have maybe 6 games in not in one series, but over the course of different series where you're like, Dame had 40, Dame had 50, he hit a game winner, and maybe Dame could soften the blow of Doc Rivers' mistakes. But The game needs to be close in order for you to hit a game winner. And Giannis needs to be healthy for you to for you to be in the playoff, for you to be in playoff in finals contention. And if it's just Dame and the guys, Brooke Lopez, we'll see what Chris Middleton is when he comes back. He hasn't been the same. Um, but yeah, it, it, I'm very suspicious of this Bucks team. I like Giannis a lot. At times, I think he's been a little wishy washy. He doesn't want to come in and say, "Oh, I'll leave if things go bad." I don't think he can say that in public. I think that's against the rules. But you know what I mean. I just think this whole Bucks thing is a circus, and something has to change. Something has to change because you're on the Dame and Giannis timeline now, and Chris Middleton really hasn't been a part of that. He's been sort of shelved, and obviously he's been injured, but he's been shelved for the most part. And when he does come back, is there going to be enough time for him to get right? Is there going to be enough time for Doc Rivers to work him into the offense? I don't know, but that's some Bucks talk for you at the end there. Um, we'll see what happens this season with them. I think this season is going to be a very interesting season for a lot of teams who need something good to happen, and not it's not going to happen for every team. And some team with hopes and dreams and of contention is going to be very very disappointed. Um, just super super disappointed, and we'll see if any trades happen or the trade deadline is going to be interesting because some of these teams might say we'll blow it up, it's over, and other teams might be like we need to compete, we're going to flip it around, and we'll see. It's going to be fun, um, and I'll be here to talk about it. So yeah, consider liking, consider subscribing. Um, are there any games tonight? Let's see. Are there any prime time games tonight before I get out of here? Um, NBA schedule, not NBA. NBA schedule. Let's see. Let's see. There's Bucks, Grizzlies, Rockets, Mavs, Jazz, Spurs, and Suns, Clippers. I don't think any of these are prime time. Some of these might be, but yeah. There'll be a there might not be a video tomorrow, but maybe there'll be a random video. Maybe I'll talk about the plan tomorrow, and yeah, we shall see what happens. Thank you all for coming on this journey with me. The views are going up. Um, just looking for a subscriber, looking for a like. That'd be amazing. I'll shout you out in the video. If you like or subscribe, you'll be the first. Um, and yeah, it'll be fun. It will be fun to see the season go on. Thank you all for watching. Cheers.